Okay, so we're continuing with this day 13 of the Mahabharata. Actually, I found my notes also, and this day 13 is quite eventful. So I don't know if we'll make it to day 14, but we will attempt. Okay, so what we have is, first things first, the day 11 we did thoroughly. Day 12 we did bits and pieces last class because it wasn't that incredibly eventful. I mean, of course there were battles that were going around, and the most eventful thing we did talk about, which was the Narayana the Narayana Astra being absorbed by Krishna, right? And we spoke about how Krishna was like looking after Arjuna just because he was tired, not even for any other major reason, right? Just this really sweet sense of that, how much he looks after us. And really, I think in Mahabharata, one of the most beautiful things about this war, because very few things are beautiful about this war, is how much Krishna does and how much he cares that he does so much. And then the second thing that happens then on day 12, which again happens a lot in day 14, is that Arjuna is destroying the Narayana Sena. So y'all don't know what this means from the look on your faces. So remember when Arjuna and Duryodhana both go to Krishna, and one gets the army and one gets Krishna. So Krishna's army is called Narayana Sena. Sena means army. Narayana because Krishna is avatar of Lord Vishnu. In the Ramayana, we say Vanara Sena, which is the monkey army. Maybe you're more familiar with that term. So now imagine this is Krishna's army. They're so well equipped because Dwarka was a very rich city. So they were well equipped. They're extremely skillful because trained by Krishna. And they're huge because everyone wanted to be part of Krishna's army, like to do his seva. And so here we are in the battlefield, and the entire army that belongs to Krishna is on the Kaurava side. So Krishna is this side, the army is that side, and Arjuna's having to fight them. And Krishna's having to fight them. So this is interesting, right? That Krishna is having to fight his own army. Why is it interesting? You're wondering it's not at all interesting? It's extremely interesting. What is this army? Because remember, Arjuna is all of us. We are Arjuna. Please never forget that. That part of us which has surrendered and loved Krishna so much is Arjuna. That part of us which is wanting to live up to dharma and be incredibly efficient and selfless and well, everything that Arjuna is, right? Reliable, loved, loving. And so he represents that. I mean, we all have our weaknesses, and Arjuna has his as well, but he overcomes them, especially because he stays devoted to Krishna. So Arjuna is really us. So devotee, Arjuna. Krishna, God, fighting the army. Now you're getting why it's interesting? What's this army? Maya, the mind. Bhagwan doesn't have to fight Maya. Devotee has to fight Maya. No, maybe I take that back. Ego. Guesswork. Desire? No. The army is not desire. What is Krishna's army? Now stop at symbolism. Just think generally speaking, what would be Krishna's army? His devotees? Nah, we're pretty useless. No. We could be his army. But who are working diligently all the time? Devotees are part-time. I assure you devotees are part-time. I have to run the ashram, and when I need volunteers, they're very part-time. Maybe they come, maybe they're busy. Krishna cannot function with a part-time army. Sorry, Swaminiji, but today I have party to go to. I cannot come to class, cannot do seva, cannot. And literally, these are the reasons. In Hong Kong, these are the reasons people don't come to ashram. So no, not devotees. It would be all the Devi Devatas. Varuna, Surya, Chandra. The people that are working full-time. These positions of devatas, they're working full-time, continuously making sure that there is water where we need water to be, there isn't water where we do not need water to be, unless that person's karmas are really bad. So there shouldn't be water in our lungs. Devata should make sure lungs is free of water. There should be water in blood. If water ends up in lungs, bad karma. That too, that Devata should know. Oh, karma's bad. Okay, put some. I'm saying it humorously. But it has to be so efficient, has to be so alert, has to be working around the clock. So here we are fighting this battle for dharma. Why do we have to fight all the devatas? And even though Arjuna had gotten all the astras from the devatas, hey, all these powers, the devatas represent power. We have power, or we want power. Even sometimes just small. Power over someone else. Or power, I remember I had this discussion with the youth class when we were talking about money, and I said, why is it so desirable? And one, money gives you power over other people because you now have staff. Two, it gives you freedom, which is power. Gives you choice, which is power. Power is very intoxicating. Very intoxicating. And we see, and that's why power corrupts, right? Because it's intoxicating. And so Arjuna is fighting, meaning the power that he has is being used to serve Krishna or Dharma, not in its own right, not having, never becoming even tempted by it. We might find it attractive, but we need not get tempted by it. And in our spiritual journey, this is a constant thing we need to be alert about, because we seek power and then we enjoy it. Even small power. I've given examples. In a Bal Vihar class, I'll tell one kid, okay, you look after everyone for 2 minutes. Wow, you create a monster. I was telling someone the other day, we had youth camp for the 24-year-olds and 25-year-olds. And then the younger youth didn't want to be with the older youth because they got too intimidated by them. So then we had a second youth camp for the 20-year-olds, the 19 and 20-year-olds. So what's the age gap? 4 years, right? They all adults now, huh? So I took 2 of the 24-year-olds on the camp with the 20-year-olds just to be with me, like my sevikas, my errand, my look after logistics, look after this, look after that. And the feeling of, that these kids, they're not behaving properly. And why are they doing this? How can they talk to you like that, Swamiji? That was my favorite one. That was when they looked at me and they were like, how are you allowing them to talk to you like that? And I was like, talk to me like how? They're so disrespectful. I thought, yeah, you 3 years ago. We'll teach them and we'll fix them and we'll tell them. And it was adorably cute. Power. We enjoy power. Like this it can get to us. That sense of power. Or even we now have these gadgets and we can order things online, or we can do this. It's given us a lot more, empowered us to do a lot of things. And so, the parent will tell the kid, your punishment is you can't have XYZ. Yeah, I'll just order Uber Eats. Why? Because now you can't tell me what to do. I have my phone, I have my octopus, I have my own money. You can't tell me what to do. And the kids will answer their parents this way. Yeah. And whose money are they using on that Uber Eats? Like really, you should give them one tupper. Parent won't give tupper. Will allow them to have that money on their octopus to be able to spend it. But look how the power gets into their head, as a kid, that they'll tell their parent, you can't tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. This getting drunk by power is what Arjuna is fighting. So what is Narayana Sena? All the power that we can have in the world. So you were quite right, it's Maya. It's this feeling of I have and I am. And it belongs to Krishna. All that power actually belongs to Krishna, Narayana Sena. It's his army. But when I get it, I feel it's mine. That's why Krishna's army is not with him. It's on the side of Duryodhana. Because Duryodhana has power and is intoxicated by it. Then Karna, Dushashan, Shakuni, Dronacharya, all of them intoxicated by the power they have. The army is on that side. It should be serving Krishna, but it's not. In fact, Krishna and Arjuna are having to fight it. So a lot of that army got destroyed on day 12 by Arjuna and Krishna. And then the rest of that army pretty much gets destroyed on day 14, which we haven't done yet. So coming back to day 13. Yeah, day 13, right? Yeah. So we saw this horrible, 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 horrible death of Abhimanyu. And I described it at length last time, but basically they broke so many rules of Dharma. One rule was you should fight only one warrior to one warrior. They broke. Okay? You were not allowed to fight somebody who doesn't have a weapon. They broke his weapon. That's how they defeat him. You're not allowed to fight somebody who doesn't have armor. They broke his armor. You're not allowed to fight somebody who has lost their chariot. They broke his chariot. So not only did they break the rules, they broke the rules and then broke the rules after breaking the rules. And that's why I said he was, this day 13 is where Dharma has died and Kali Yuga has started. It's also the day where it's no more that he died in battle. From this point onwards, Abhimanyu was murdered. He fought gloriously, but they weren't fighting a battle because they broke all the conduct that was befitting of Kshatriyas for a 16-year-old boy. So now this chakra view that was made, I said it was in the form of a circle. And if you think warriors standing in the line, why couldn't they break that chakra view? Because it was powered by mantra. Just like the weapons that Arjuna is using is powered by mantra, the chakra view also is powered by mantra. And so it was, unless you know the mantra to go in, you can't go in. It's like there's like this shield. And the Abhimanyu was able to go in. Jayadratha stopped everyone else from going in because of that boon of Lord Shiva. Abhimanyu was killed inside the Chakravyu, and they could see. Who could see? Yudhishthira, Bhim, Nakula, Sahadeva, basically the entire Pandava army could see what was going on. So not only is this heartache that Abhimanyu has been defeated or killed in battle, but in this incredibly unjust way. Now, Yudhishthira's heart is so soft, he can't take it. So he's already fainted, he's already been revived, they're already sitting on the tent. I told you all that, right? Yudhishthira faints. Yeah, Yudhishthira faints. When he realizes that Abhimanyu is dead, he faints. Now, Arjuna is coming back. So two things happen. Arjuna is coming back at that point in time. Yudhishthira is so distraught. All the entire Pandava army is so distraught. Vedavyasa comes to help to console them. Because before Arjuna comes, they needed some strength. Because when Arjuna comes, again, that scene is, it's going to be horrible, right, for him to find out. So this is the common line that now gets said. You should grieve for those that are still living rather than those who have attained such an end. I thought this was really nice because we tend to grieve for the person who has died. But Vedavyasa is saying, no, grieve for the ones that are still living. Why? And in some ways, I really take so much solace from these words in scriptures, because whenever I meet people and they've lost a loved one, they in so much pain that where they're gone, what they're doing, were they suffering, that they continue to suffer. This is like assurance given, especially when somebody like Abhimanyu has died, who has lived such a beautifully noble life, such a glorious person, and who has died in such an act of selflessness. So heroic. Like, they are free, they are happy. The person who has died is very good. It's the ones that are living that are feeling sorrow. One, we're missing the person, and two, we are still stuck here in this whole constant, becoming the next thing we need to become and chasing the next desire that is bugging us and irritated by the next comment that whoever makes, and we still stuck here. Like, we need to grieve for this. We need to grieve that we still here. You're not getting it. You're like, yeah, it's pretty good. If you're in satsang, yeah, it's pretty good. Sometimes I'll be sitting with someone and they'll be driving me from place A to place B, and they'll get so bugged by another car driver. So bugged. And I'll be thinking, I used to drive, right? I'm familiar. But still, why so bugged? And sometimes, depending on the personality type of the person, that other driver didn't even really do anything. They were either slightly too slow, or they were slightly too close to the end, or not major, but this dude has his rules about how a person should drive, and that person's not driving as per this rule. And then so much agitation because somebody drove slow or drove fast, or not. I'm not even saying cut into your lane, huh? Somebody cuts into your lane, then for sure agitation. But this is agitation without anyone cutting into your lane. Are we really so fine that we can get so agitated about such a thing? Somebody was giggling and telling me a story about they were with the person and a mosquito, so small, came, and then 3 people had to come to save this person from the mosquito. So much agitation. What? Caused by one tiny little creature. And then when we say this place we should get out of, no, it's so nice. When such small things can cause us so much disturbance, how can this place be nice? And what about big things? Somebody gets sick. Somebody loses money. Somebody's house is broken into. Safety. You feel vulnerable. You feel betrayed. You thought this person loved you, and turns out they don't. How much heartache? The small things cause us irritation, and the big things cause us heartache. We should grieve for the ones here. Because they're the ones suffering, is what's meant. The ones who have gone no longer suffer. Yeah. Sometimes we find immense solace in that. So Vedavyasa has come and told Yudhishthira this. Yudhishthira, the poor guy, is crying and crying and crying. Yudhishthira at this point says, I don't want the kingdom. If Abhimanyu is the price that I have to pay for the kingdom, I don't want the kingdom anymore. Nobody can say anything to him because they also cry. Bhim cannot hold himself straight. Bhim is literally on the floor. And Bhim, you must remember, his heart is very, very soft. You have to remember also that Abhimanyu was one of these extra special people. So I don't know if I've got this quite correct, but we know when the stars shine at night, some shine extra bright. And they come like a blaze. And then they disappear. They're called supernovas, I think. I think that's what they called. Seven sisters. No, it comes brighter. So there's lots of stars in the sky. And then some will say it's like a shooting star or a comet. It flashes brighter than everything else. Like really wow. And then it disappears. I think the technical name for that is supernova. You may or may not have seen it. They don't happen that often. In Hong Kong, we cannot see the sky, so we probably don't see it. But somewhere else, you see it. Even then, it doesn't happen so often, so you may not have seen it. But YouTube, you can go see. People like Abhimanyu are like these supernovas. They shine so bright. They outshine all the other stars in the sky. And they disappear. Often you'll hear this. Often you'll hear when children die, but that child was so special. Everybody loved this child. This child was so kind. This child was so noble. And that's the one that dies young. They don't come for long. They shine extra bright because they're not going to be here long. And there's a trend. And then everything in life serves a purpose. And so these supernovas also serve a purpose. They come to take our breath away, catch our attention, and then disappear so that we know something can be so bright. And we can be that bright. And so Arjuna really did. I mean, the Pandavas all had one son each with Draupadi. We don't know their names. Yeah. They had so many other sons. One of Arjuna's sons have already died, right? The one he had with see, I've already forgotten. Ulapi? No. Ulapi? No, someone else. Naga kingdom person. The princess of the Naga kingdom. Eh? We've heard of it, but we don't remember their names. Or I don't remember. Somebody who's good with names might remember. But Abhimanyu's name is known. He shone so bright. Even when killing him, Drona has praised that he is better than Arjuna, he is better than Krishna. And even to kill him, it took so many of them, huh? Until the end, he was brave, he was courageous. So here, Veda Vyasa is saying, for such souls, don't grieve. Because their purpose is different. Yeah. Their purpose is different. We may not understand it. We can miss. Grieve is when we get stuck in it. They meant to be remembered as bright, shining stars that lit up the world brighter than all the other stars. Celebrated. And sometimes it feels hard to think of celebrating when we've lost. But we forget we had. We can only say we've lost it because we had it. And to be so blessed to have had something so special. Our mistake is we hold on when it wasn't ours. When a star flashes through the sky, can't hold on to it. Don't try and hold on to it. Yeah. Enjoy and appreciate and know that their purpose is different. It's true for all of us when we die, but certain, like when sometimes when Abhimanyu was 16, right? Sometimes really it's a shock to have someone so amazing taken away. Veda Vyasa assures Yudhishthira, even before Krishna comes, Abhimanyu has reached the highest heaven and is completely at peace. And Vedavyasa can see, so he does. Now, Arjuna comes. This bit was harder to read than even Abhimanyu's death. So I'm going to do it quickly. When Krishna, Arjuna and Krishna come into the, actually this is also beautiful. When Arjuna and Krishna come to the camp, Krishna goes to tend to the horses first. And Arjuna waits outside while Krishna is tending to the horses. So he takes the chariot, parks it like we park the car, but then looks after the horses, like feeds them, takes out all the armor so that they're free of it. Sometimes he would massage their legs. Today was a little bit faster. Then when Krishna comes out from tending to the horses, Arjuna would have all puja samagri ready, makes Krishna sit and worships Krishna's feet every day after the battle. And would say, paraphrasing, without you, I am nothing. So, so beautiful, this relationship between Arjuna and Krishna. Because during the day, Arjuna is bossing around. Go here, do this, do that, faster, slower, do the, because Krishna is the charioteer and Arjuna is fighting the battle. Although Krishna also intervenes. You not fighting properly, do the same thing. And then at the end of the day, there's this beautiful little puja that Arjuna does for Krishna. But today, his mind is restless. Today, when Krishna comes out, Arjuna, something is wrong, Krishna. Nobody's looking at me. Nobody talks to me. They're all turning their heads away. Something is wrong. Is Yudhishthira captured? Are my brothers okay? And so there's this incredible anxiety that he's feeling in his heart. It's not clear in the way that it's written if Krishna already knows or not. Because he actually reassures Arjuna saying, your brothers, nothing can happen to them. They are fine. Which is truth. Well, fine is relative, right? Then Arjuna says, Abhimanyu would have greeted me by now. He's always the first one to come and receive me. Where is my Abhimanyu? And Krishna's quiet. He doesn't say anything. So they walk into Yudhishthira's tent, and Yudhishthira's tent is pin drop silence. And I told you, Bhim is on the floor crying. Nakula and Sahadev cannot even look at Arjuna. They're looking away. And Yudhishthira looks up, looks down, crying, looks up, looks down, crying. And along the way, while they were walking to the tent, Arjuna has heard that, I can't believe Drona formed the Chakravyuh. And so Arjuna's first statement is, Yudhishthira, tell me you did not send my son into the Chakravyuh. You know he doesn't know how to come out. And then he looks at Abhimanyu's chair and it's empty. And so he just keeps saying, tell me my son is not dead. Tell me my son is not dead. But nobody can say it, which is confirmation that Abhimanyu is dead. And then the first thing he does is praise Abhimanyu. Like, oh my God, that child which was so loving, who was so skilled, who was so this, like how can he die? And this is that whole supernova thing, right? Like Abhimanyu really did shine so bright. And if you start praising Abhimanyu, I kid you not, it was 3 pages. And this is the concise version of the Mahabharata. And then the next thing he does is he says, how? In fact, that's the first thing he does. He says, how was Abhimanyu killed? Because Abhimanyu has defeated every warrior on the field already. So it's really how, who killed him? But nobody's saying anything. Then he goes back to, how will I tell their mothers? Like, how will I tell? Subhadra is the mother, but Draupadi was also a mother to all the children of all the Pandavas. And so then again lamenting. And then he goes back to, but how? Why aren't y'all telling me how? Who killed Abhimanyu? How did he die? And then he goes into guilt. Why did I leave the battlefield? And so painful, because he says, he asked Yudhishthira, because nobody else will look at him. Yudhishthira is the only one that will still look up, but then looks down. Did he call for me? Did he expect me to come and save him? Did I fail my son? I failed my son. This is very normal in grief. We feel we failed that person. Very, very normal in grief. And yeah, Arjuna, had he been had he been here in the main battlefield, it's true. Abhimanyu would not have been killed. There's no way. And then he thinks, where were y'all? Why didn't y'all protect him? Any soldier gets into battle, we go and help them. Where so many of you are here, not one of you protected him. And so then there's blame. Again, this is very normal in grief. First there's guilt, then there's, why didn't you do something? Yeah. Not that any of the four brothers needed to hear this. They were already blaming themselves enough. And then finally it goes back to, but I can't blame you all because I failed him. And so we do this in grief. We go back and forth. Guilt, blame. But mostly, how dare anyone hurt my son? There's anger. By this stage, he is furious. So finally, there's two. I had to verify this, but I haven't yet. One version I read, it's Yudhishthira that tells him. One version I said, which is this sounds like the more correct one. Yudhishthira couldn't bring himself to speak. And it's too long a story of what happened. And so Sahadev is probably the most, Sahadev doesn't talk. Remember, Sahadev doesn't talk because he knows the future. And so Krishna told him not to talk. And so he doesn't talk. And so what all goes on in Sahadev, we never know. And it's like still one deep. This is Sahadev. And so the intensity of his anger, Abhimanyu was killed in such an unjust way. He narrates literally word, detail by detail, who did what in what order and just how horrendous it was and how gloriously Abhimanyu handled the whole situation. And Arjuna, by this stage, can only see red. Firstly, you lose your son, already horrible. Secondly, in this kind of a horribly violent way, and then somehow he zones in on Jayadratha. If the uncles were able to go into the Chakravyu, all of them would have stood in front of Abhimanyu and taken the arrows themselves. They would have shielded Abhimanyu with their own bodies. And so whose fault is all of this? Jayadratha's. Now, actually, all of them are to be blamed, but Jayadratha gets Arjuna's worth. And so Arjuna decides, he takes a vow. Now that he takes a vow is okay, but sometimes it's a bit rash in how he does things. She's laughing because she already knows what the vow is. Arjuna says, tomorrow I vow to kill Jayadratha. Very good. Very good if he vows to kill Jayadratha. It's a war. People have to get killed. Jayadratha is on the enemy side. He schemed against the whole situation. Very good. The second bit, I tell you this, Arjuna. Overly emotional decisions are going to be bad decisions. If I don't kill Jayadratha tomorrow, I will myself burn a fire and enter into it and kill myself. If I don't kill Jayadratha tomorrow, I will spend only time in hell and not ever go to heaven. If yeah, Arjuna, calm down already. This is Krishna's face. Like, be angry, sure. Kill Jayadratha, sure. Stop there. This. So now, but Arjuna making this vow has now once again united the Pandavas and uplifted their spirit because now they have purpose. In the Kaurava army, they were saying they also dejected now. Tomorrow they'll be easy to kill. That's correct. If they had stayed dejected, it's true, they would have been easy to kill. But Arjuna is not that type of a person. He's not going to just sit and cry. He did in chapter 1 of the Gita, but generally speaking, he's not the type of person to just say, he takes this resolve, and this is another thing Arjuna's resolve means. His words are strong. Arjuna's words are strong. Like, he's done enough the first. So both the armies have spies back and forth. I've told you all this already, right? So spy runs to Kaurava side. Arjuna's taken, oh, sorry, very important bit. Let me not forget it. Arjuna takes this vow and then he twangs the Gandiva bow. Now there's something about this Gandiva bow that when it's twung, it can be heard like if I'm twinging it here in the ashram in Hong Kong, they will hear it in Beijing. This seems to be the description given because they say even the heavens shake when they hear that. And he'll deliberately just twang it like that when he's angry. So Gandiva bow being twanged means Arjuna's angry. And so everyone starts shaking. And apparently just the sound of that Gandiva bow is very, very scary. I'd love to hear it. You know, I used to hear about lions and how scary they were. And we saw so many. I grew up in Africa, right? They're always sleeping. So I used to think, what's so scary about them? Every time I see them, they're sleeping. Because they do, right? Lions sleep a lot. And then there was this, I remember I was thinking, and by this point I had already joined the ashram. And I was like, Krishna, show me what's so amazing about the lions. And one roared. Literally, the blood in your veins stops. Like that sound of that lion roaring is, and then when you hear the recording, nothing. But when you're there in front of it and you can hear it, I kid you not, your hair stands on end and your blood stops flowing and you're like, I was like, wow, yeah, that is impressive. I'm guessing this Gandiva is something like that. So not only does Arjuna twang the Gandiva bow, Krishna picks up Panchajanya and blows. Krishna's Panchajanyam also echoes in all the three worlds. He's conch. Arjuna, Krishna's conch. So on the other side, the Kauravas were dancing. Can you believe this? They were still dancing. And it's so weird that they were dancing that they defeated Abhimanyu, because Duryodhana lost his son, huh? Abhimanyu had killed Duryodhana's son, which is what flipped the switch in Karna's head. That made Karna do something so incredibly adharmic. And even Karna's mind, I don't know what goes on in Karna's mind. Because here, you know, in day 14, he has to fight Bhim, and in the description of how he has to, he feels like he wants to jump off the chariot and go and hug Bhim. Day before, you were killing Abhimanyu so brutally. Like I tell you, our minds are weird. Never mind Karna, our minds are weird. That he can have so much love. And then the day before, he was so brutal. And what's that flip that happened there? And it's a war, people are going to die. So of course, Duryodhana's child are going to die. And so, like, fight properly. Anyway, off the topic, what was I saying? The twang of the Gandiva bow and the conch, yeah, those people were dancing. Suddenly, they stopped. Like my blood in my veins stopped when the lion roared, they stopped, froze. Why? What just happened? So spies had to be sent. The news comes back. But before the spies come to say anything, Jayadratha runs into the court, says, Duryodhana, Arjuna has taken a vow to kill me. It's time for me to go home. Bye. Because if Arjuna has taken a vow to kill me, I'm dead. I'm no longer fighting in this battle. So not only just running away from the battle, he's running away from the war now. He wants to go home. And this is so weird. It's so weird that what does Duryodhana say? How can he do anything to you? I don't understand how Duryodhana can say that. It took 6 of them to kill one little Abhimanyu. Like, we'll protect you. Why are you worried? This really, Duryodhana is saying. So Jayadratha runs to Dronacharya and says, you've taught me, you've taught Arjuna. In what way and how much better is he than me? Really, you need to ask this question? Dronacharya's reply is really good. Yes, I've taught you both equally, but Arjuna is far superior. Why was the important bit? Because of his practice and his tapas. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, and then again in chapter 7, there's a verse where Arjuna is saying, how do I do this? Do what? Anything. How do I get to moksha? How do I get better at fighting? How do I overcome this hurdle? And the answer is 2 words. Abhyasetu vairagya. No, sorry. Abhyasa cha vairagya cha. Practice. Abhyasa means practice. How do I do anything? Practice. What's the second word? Vairagya. Why is Arjuna far superior than any other student that Drona taught? Practice and austerities, tapas. How do I get Vairagya? Tapas. Austerities. Far superior. And this bit's very interesting, huh? Previously, in the Mahabharata, Drona has said, I taught Arjuna, but he's far superior to me. Drona has said this. Now he's telling Jayadratha, he's far superior to you. But don't worry, I'll protect you. I'm really not understanding these people. Delusion has such an incredible hold. I did, like, you know, sitting here nicely in Chinmaya Ashram, Hong Kong, I can look at them rolling my eyes, but when we get deluded, look how nonsensical we are. Really? And then he's saying, don't worry, Jayadratha, you'll be fine. And then he thinks, you're definitely dead tomorrow. He thinks it, but he doesn't say it. Why? Because if Arjuna has decided to kill you, you're pretty much dead. Now, what's really interesting is Jayadratha, who knows this. He actually knows this. But Drona said, don't worry, I'll protect you. And he feels better. And says, okay, I'll fight. We can't escape death, I tell you. He had full plans to go back home. Should have stuck to his plan. But this was an interesting line. Drona, when he thinks, it was too funny. Drona knew that Jayadratha was as good as death. And he thinks, the boon given to you by Shiva has proven to be your destruction. So Jayadratha did all this tapas to ask Shiva for a boon. Can I destroy the Pandavas? No, you cannot have the boon. What can you give me? You can defeat them for one day if Arjuna and Krishna are not on the battlefield. You cannot kill them, only defeat them. He says, fine. How much tapas he did to ask for that boon? That boon cashed in day 13. That boon gets him killed day 14. We really need to think about what we're asking for. We ask for things that then cause us, there's a price that we pay for everything. We forget that there's always a price that we pay. Yeah? So people work really, 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 really crazy hard. Like sometimes I'll see these youngsters, they're working in these big companies. They're working till like 3 in the morning and then they turn up again at their desk at 8 in the morning. They didn't eat properly, then they get back pain and this problem and then that problem. So the price you pay is health. Or sometimes people become so famous because they wanted to be so famous. The price you pay is zero personal life now. And you're so highly judged. Everything you do is judged. You smile, it's judged. You don't smile, it's judged. Right? You're going to have people criticizing you. Why? Because that's the price you pay for fame. Yeah. And that has its own heartache. Right? Or sometimes money. You have so much, and then the price you pay can be quite harsh. Sometimes the price you pay is family or non-existent of it anymore. Or again, health, or there's no safety. Like when I lived in South Africa, and it was not even as bad in those days as it is now, we used to have bars on the windows. Yeah. Like proper full-on bars at the windows because theft. So every house is a jail. And the more you have in your house, not only you had to have bars on the window, you had to have a fence. And then sometimes that fence was so high with barbed wire on the top. So now where's your view? Cannot have view. Okay, so you got so much money and you got zero freedom. And you're living in fear because everybody wants that money. Really, when we lived in South Africa, we saw it. Maybe you don't see it as evidently everywhere else, but when we lived there, we saw it. Nigeria also, when you visit. And you have nice car, but you have to have driver in front of you, bodyguard next to you. So zero privacy. Imagine going everywhere with a bodyguard. And you just, what's so great about you? You have money, that's all. So there's a price. We pay a price for everything. And so when we're asking for something, do we know the price we're going to pay for it? This is why scriptures say, let Bhagwan decide what to give. Don't ask. When it comes time for asking, we should put our hands together, bow our head, and say, whatever you wish. Because when we choose, we don't know the price we're going to pay. When he chooses, whatever price he thinks we need to pay needs to go, so we can pay it happily. No longer belongs to me. In fact, he's taking it away, which means I'm better off without it. That's that whole thing about don't ask. So Jayadratha is now fully equipped with false sense of security. Useless, useless, useless sense of security he has. So spies go back. Now Jayadratha, so Drona promises Jayadratha, don't worry, I will protect you. And yesterday I just built one Chakravyu and that was enough to kill one great hero. Tomorrow I will build 3, not Chakravyus, but different views. Views, something like that. And I will put you in the 3rd one and you'll be super safe because no one will be able to get to you and I will guard it myself. Yeah. Of course, Arjuna knows how to get into all of these. And even if he doesn't, Krishna knows how to get in. And so you're, in fact, on day 14, when the battle's being fought, Krishna is only getting into all the views because he's as the charioteer, he breaks them even before Arjuna knows how to break them. He's not fighting though, so it's okay. So now spies come back to Pandava camp. So your news has reached them. They know that you have taken this vow, and this is the strategy that they are going to be using. So now Pandavas all get together and come up with the strategy of how they're going to handle the formation that is being created by. And so they come up with somewhat of a plan. But then this is an interesting dialogue that happens between Krishna and Arjuna. So everyone goes back, everyone's still grieving. I had one thing where Krishna says to Arjuna about when they were grieving. Similar to the Bhagavad Gita dialogue of when Arjuna was grieving. To the effect of, now I can't find that section, but it was to the effect of, it cannot be undone. And so there's no point in making your brothers feel worse. And even though you are grieving, Arjuna, don't forget everyone else is also grieving. Which it's easy for Arjuna to do at this point. It's his son. It's easy for him to forget that Bhim, Yudhishthira, and Nakula, they would be grieving equally. And of course, it was momentary. Arjuna wasn't deliberately trying to hurt his brothers. But there's this gentle reminder from Krishna to Arjuna that they in pain too. You in pain, but they in pain too. And even though you're in pain, the war's still on. So you have to be of the right mindset. And then this vow is taken and then his. And then Krishna is amazing. So Krishna goes to Arjuna after this, everybody's gone off to sleep, and he sits on Arjuna's bed and he says, Arjuna, you took this vow but it was very rash. Day before, day 12 of the battlefield, remember, this guy had the Narayanastra and he was causing havoc, plus Arjuna had to fight with that troop and the army was screaming and he didn't know which way to go. At that point, he said, Krishna, tell me what to do. And Krishna was the one that brought him back, and they fought with the person and they took the Astra back. He said, how come you didn't check in with me this time? When you make decisions without checking with me, Arjuna, that's very problematic. I'm paraphrasing, but basically that's why Krishna is saying, hey, why are you making it harder for me to help you? Anyways, I will do everything possible I will do to help you, but why you make it hard for me to help you? Right. This is often the case, sometimes I've heard Swamiji tell devotees, like, why are you making Krishna work so hard? You also do some things, no? Okay, if you can't do, don't make it harder for him. Like sometimes the choices we make, we really make it, we double his work. What was the bit choice that was bad? If I don't kill him tomorrow, I will burn in hell. That was no need for that. And I will kill myself. There was also no need for that bit. So now the Kaurava army is counting on this bit because Arjuna is a man of his word. So now their strategy is hide Jayadratha for a day. We won't have to kill Arjuna, he'll kill himself. So this is exactly how Krishna is doing. Why? Why would you give them that? And then he says it sweetly, but he said, didn't you learn from today? Today you weren't there to protect Abhimanyu. You go and take a vow like this, how are you going to protect everyone else? The very thing you were grieving, you've gone and done again. This is also interesting how we do this. Right? How much guilt he felt. I wasn't there. Had I been there, Abhimanyu would not have been killed. He even says, did he call for me? And then he even says, or did he already know that he can't count on me and he didn't even bother calling for me? Like so much he has wept, so much pain he has felt in his heart that he wasn't there for Abhimanyu. And then you go and make a vow like this. So how have you not learned that what's more important is you there for people? Krishna is telling Arjuna, when minutes after Arjuna has made that vow, and having found that Abhimanyu is that he's not sugarcoating, he's not being harsh, he's not screaming, but he's like, why? When are you going to learn? Like Duryodhana is deluded, and okay, he's deluded, but you also, when are you going to learn? Like, I'm here, why aren't you coming to me? And he didn't say those words, implied. But I really felt Krishna. It's like, why? Why aren't you? I'm right here. Why you have to make your own decisions and foolish ones? If you're going to make your own decisions, make sure they're smart ones. Check also with me. I'm right here. Is that a smart decision? Last time you didn't know, you asked me, we made a good decision. We saved so many people. Day 12, Pandavas were rejoicing. Everybody was safe. He didn't say all this. I'm adding. He said very simply that the thing you regret is not being there for people. Why would you make such a vow? And then he says, we're going to have to really think our strategy through. And then he leaves Arjuna to rest. Not that Arjuna can rest at this point. None of them. They're all dreaming of Abhimanyu, praying for his welfare. But like I said, Krishna, 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 Krishna. Like, why? He's so worthy of us chanting his name. He himself has lost effectively his child, because Abhimanyu grew up in Krishna's house. Subhadra was living with Krishna. Not only did he bring this child up, he was guru. So the role of father and the role of guru. And this is the child that's died, and so his own grief. But he has consoled the Pandavas, all of them. He's consoled Yudhishthira, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhim. Bhim, though, he has held, because Bhim was crying like a baby, Krishna has held him, assuring him that Abhimanyu has reached the heavens and is smiling down on us, waiting for us to be victorious. And he's consoled all of them in the 10th. Then he's gone and he's told Arjuna, we need to think clearly tomorrow. Do not do anything foolish tomorrow. Tomorrow you better listen to me. He didn't say that, implied. I am adding my masala. It was implied. But he said it sweetly. Krishna is much sweeter than me. I would have grit my teeth and speak. He spoke so sweetly. Now what does he do? He drives to Dwarka. Why? Subhadra has lost her son. The only person that can console her is Krishna. While he's in Dwarka, after consoling Subhadra, and I won't go into it because we already know how horrible grief is, he summons his charioteer and tells the charioteer to get his chariot ready. Krishna's chariot, ready, with all weapons, everything. And then he says, this foolish Arjuna has made a ridiculous vow. If I have to break my vow to save him, so be it. And then he tells his chariot driver, when I blow Panchajanyam, the conch, on this octave, it can be played, you come immediately. And then there's this whole organizing of what should be on the chariot, where he should be stationed, how quickly he can get there. Literally, he has to be able to get there when he hears the conch in 10 seconds. All this planning is being done by Krishna. He comes up with a full plan B. He doesn't know if plan A is going to work. He knows plan B will work because plan B is him. Then, finally, Krishna lies down on his bed, to think about Abhimanyu. At the same time, Arjuna is lying down on his bed, and he suddenly gets a doubt and says, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can really do Abhimanyu justice tomorrow. Krishna is in Dwarka. Arjuna is in Kurukshetra. Arjuna, in his head, hears Krishna's voice saying, you can do it. Krishna hasn't had 2 seconds, huh? He looked after horses. He looked after Arjuna. He looked after the 5 Pandavas. He looked after Subhadra. He comes back to, he looked after strategy for the war. He's come back to looking after Arjuna. How much Krishna does for us. How much Remember, we are Arjuna. We are every person that he will look after. Not, he drove from Kurukshetra to Dwarka after having fought the whole day. You know, we love Krishna and we say devotees love Krishna so much. Yeah, just does not compare to how much Krishna loves us. And if we ever think we're doing so much, how much he's doing for us. So like I said, I didn't think we would start day 14 today, but a little bit more happens on day 13. But next week, we should be able to start day 14. Day 14 is also a very, very long day. Okay, any questions? Yes.
Question for last week. When Abhimanyu was in
Abhimanyu was in the Chakravyu,
why did Yudhishthira call Krishna?
Why didn't Yudhishthira call Krishna? They were too far away. Maybe they were in shock.
Send someone to call Krishna. Like, there was no attempt to get them back.
You're right. There was no attempt to get Krishna and Arjuna back. That's the boon, maybe. They didn't know where Krishna and Arjuna. Yeah, they had changed the some pattas, something, some pattas. No, maybe even though. Who had to kill this one?
They chased this guy.
Yeah, Arjuna does kill. No, it was 4 of them. 4 of them were fighting Arjuna at the same time. That's why he was so distracted that he didn't even know what was going on. And yes, they led him very far away from the war. But she's right. Maybe they could have sent a messenger to find him. But I think everything, yeah, you know how when it's like you don't, at that moment, you can't think. It's like you're so horrified. Plus, they really couldn't understand why they weren't able to defeat Jayadratha. Like, Jayadratha is not that great. Like, one of them on their own should have been able to defeat Jayadratha. How is this happening? Until the night when they realized he had the boon and the boon came in effect, they didn't know while the war was happening that this boon was going into effect. And then, yeah, maybe the boon's effect is that Krishna and Arjuna couldn't be there. So, but to my most honest answer is, I don't know.
Another question. You mentioned that everything we ask is a price.
Everything we ask, there is a price.
So it's best to ask, give us what's best for us. But when you love someone, it's very hard not to ask for them to be protected.
Yeah, we ask for somebody else, not for ourselves, right? But they'll pay a price.
They'll pay a price for us asking for them to be protected.
Well, protected is a very broad word. What do I mean by that? Protected, do I mean they won't get insulted?
Always happy. I don't know.
Who's always happy? Please ask for things that are realistic. But we don't have to ask. Haven't you just heard how much we're taken care of? Like, do we really have to ask that somebody else be taken care of? Like, they less of Krishna than us? Only I'm Krishna that I have to ask they get taken care of? Like, hello.
Love.
It's not love. Love Krishna. Love Krishna enough to know that he's taking care of everyone. You're going to love this person more than Krishna, then you sit and worry. How is that love? Where's your love in Krishna? And this person that you love, didn't Krishna give them to you? So if he blessed you with this person that you love so much, hello, can't he's going to look after them also. Obviously, he only gave. That again, we have to remember this. He only gave. We are already protected. Things are going to happen to us, all of us. That's how we grow.
So when things happen to people we love, just have faith.
Educate them, encourage them, hold their hand. Mhm. Pass them tissue. Be useful in whatever way you can. we've all been there, past tissue. What else can you do? Tears will fall, right? Who hasn't shed tears? I mean, it won't happen that they won't cry. Sometimes I cry with them. They look at me like, why are you crying? I'm just giving you company. I do. It's happened. No, Mahabharata doesn't talk much about the women. Yes, you had a question.
So when Jayadratha came and said, help me, I want to go, do we know what's happening with Karna? What is he doing after doing such?
Do we know what's happening with Karna? I really don't know what's happening with He's rejoicing at killing Abhimanyu. Yeah. They were on a high from killing Abhimanyu because they felt he was one of the most powerful and they were able to defeat him. And so that sense of they'll defeat the whole Pandava army next. But again, that's delusion. The truth of it is you killed Abhimanyu, be scared. Because day 14, Yama is very busy. The Pandavas are death incarnated. Very few people are standing on the end of day 14.
Bhishma's still alive, right?
Bhishma's still alive on the bed of arrows, yes.
We don't know his view about what happened to other, the falling, the Dharma.
This was interesting. I don't know if you remember, I had said this. When Karna goes for Bhishma's blessings, Karna tells Bhishma, with you, Dharma has fallen. Yeah. And Bhishma tries to tell Karna one last time, don't do it. Don't fight with Duryodhana. Bhishma knows. Before the war started already, he told Duryodhana, none of you will be standing. None of us will be standing at the end of this war. Not a single Kaurava is standing at the end of the war. Not a single one. Not just the 100 Kauravas. The entire 11 Akshani army. Not a single person is standing. So what was Karna thinking? He was on this power high of killing Abhimanyu. And Karna also says, we'll save you. When Jayadratha comes and says, Arjuna is going to kill me. But more than Karna, Duryodhana is saying, don't worry, Jayadratha, I will save you. No, obviously they don't realize. So this is Arjuna, this is always Duryodhana's thing. Duryodhana did the wrong thing at the game of dice. Duryodhana did the wrong thing by stealing Yudhishthira's kingdom even before the game of dice, right? Because he took Hastinapur and he gave Yudhishthira Indraprastha. So he stole the kingdom. He gave Yudhishthira empty land, and that too desert. So he stole. So firstly, he's done wrong. He's stolen the kingdom. Secondly, he played the game of dice and took Indraprastha also. But he feels like he's the victim. Duryodhana feels like he's the one that's been wronged. Who has he been wronged by? Yudhishthira. What did Yudhishthira do? Is just so amazing. He's been wronged by Yudhishthira being amazing. That's literally what it boils down to. You all are laughing, but that is what Duryodhana feels. Duryodhana feels he has been cheated. How has he been cheated? Yudhishthira is amazing. Is that being cheated? No, but that's what he feels. Never mind all that. Even if Yudhishthira wasn't as amazing as he was, Duryodhana might have been okay. But the jealousy of why is Yudhishthira so amazing makes him feel he has been wronged. Whereas he's the one that has done everything wrong. He doesn't feel he's done anything wrong. He feels he has been wronged. Yeah, this is delusion. That's why I'm saying I really don't get it. And Duryodhana's delusion is solid and steady. Karna is the one that puzzles me more. Because Karna's not deluded that they've done the wrong thing. Karna's not deluded that they're going to die. But he's still deluded enough to do everything wrong. Duryodhana is dense. Okay, some people are. Karna's not dense. That's why the bone to pick with is Karna. And you can't pick bone with Duryodhana. He's too dense. Because he can't see it. He just can't see it. Like he's been defeated by Abhimanyu twice yesterday in the war, right? He was almost killed. He's been defeated by Bhim when he's had to run. He's been defeated by Satyaki. He's been defeated by Arjuna. He's had to run away in the battle almost every day of the war. And he can still stand there saying, I'll protect you. Jayadratha is another fool. He believes it. Correct. Actually, Jayadratha believed Drona. Drona was lying. Because in his head, he's thinking, you're so dead. Like Drona has no doubt in his mind that Jayadratha is going to be killed tomorrow. Even though he's come up with this whole plan of the 3 viewers. Because Arjuna is so single-pointed that he will not falter when he has decided something. This is one of Arjuna's greatest glories. His absolute single-pointedness. If he has decided he will kill Jayadratha, he will make it happen because he has that level of single-pointedness.
But by that logic, then even Krishna didn't believe that Arjuna could pull it off. He had plan B.
Yes.
I don't know what happened. I thought it was plan B because Arjuna put a time limit on it. Had Arjuna not put a time limit on it, there wouldn't have been a plan B.
No, even the time limit wasn't the problem. It was Arjuna saying he'd kill himself and burn in hell. That made Krishna concerned. Time limit. Even then, okay, you don't make the time limit, you do it, but it's this bit that he'll burn in hell and kill himself.
I guess in this Luke, if they said something, it happened, right?
It depends who says, because even Duryodhana gives word. Nothing will happen to you, Jayadratha. Drona also says, don't worry. Even though in his head he's saying you did, he's saying, don't worry. So no, when Bhishma said something, it would happen. Drona says something, it doesn't happen. Duryodhana says something, it doesn't happen. Arjuna says something, it will happen. Arjuna didn't have Vak Siddhi, But he had that single pointedness of mind that it would happen.
Well, we're okay, right? If we say dumb stuff.
If you say dumb stuff, it won't happen. Why you want to say dumb stuff? Yes, be careful what you say, and be careful what you think also, huh? Not that it just comes out of your mouth, because when we think it also, it says, we've spoken it.
To understand, he was grieving his son.
Yes, he was grieving his son. Krishna's point is, main hu na, why you had to make decision? Just 1 second, check with me first. I'm standing right here. That was such a big decision, and you emotional. When you're emotional, don't make decisions. I think that's been one of my biggest life lessons. When you're emotional, don't make decisions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.